Football is back. How about it? Unbelievable. That Hall of Fame game last night was terrific, and Carson Beck was out there and looked outstanding. I mean, I say you never want to overreact to the preseason. Did you see Carson Beck last night? Look at these numbers. And here's the thing, right? You see it on the board right there. Selected in the third round. And when they picked him, we made a big deal about it here on Schein Time because of his experience and what he did winning in Georgia and what he did in Miami last year. And he's a perfect fit in Mike LaFleur's system. And I thought he was sensational last night. Accuracy, arm strength, dropped it in the bucket a couple times on a couple of deep throws. And if you've taken a look at the Cardinals' schedule, and I'm not challenging you, I don't think you're sitting around and just perusing who Arizona's playing in week 4. Trust me when I tell you, the Arizona Cardinals might start the season 0-10. I mean, this schedule is as tough as it gets, which is why, even if it's not his fault, we might see Jacoby Brissett benched and Carson Beck is going to be under center sooner rather than later. So I think when you look at it from a Carson Beck standpoint, this was absolutely a lot of fun. I was energized by having football back on TV. It's amazing, right? I mean, I try not to ever overreact when it comes to preseason, but I liked Carson Beck when they picked him, Monty Ossenfort, the general manager. And here's the goal, right? You want Carson Beck to either be your backup for the foreseeable future, or he can be your starter and you don't have to draft a quarterback at the top of the draft. Cardinals should get a top pick, either pick 1 through 3, right? I wouldn't be surprised if it was 1 or 2. They enter this year, I believe, most likely, with the Dolphins being the other team, to be the worst team in the NFL and thus get the top pick in the draft, which is a perfect segue into our NFC West preview. Listen, the Arizona Cardinals are the longest of long shots when it comes to winning a division in the NFL this year. So because they're such a long shot, I mean 10,000 to 1 to win the West, let's start with the Arizona Cardinals because there is a 0% chance they win the division. And honestly, when you have 3 teams that can go to the Super Bowl this year in front of them, Arizona sadly is dead on arrival. And look at the Vegas over-under number. I hate to say this because I like the Cardinals. I like their new coach. I like their general manager. I like the entire organization. I like the fan base. I would take, and this is dangerous territory, the best bet is the under for wins. Like, you got to trust me on it. I've been looking at this schedule. I don't know how they win a game in the division. When you look at San Francisco and LA and you take a look at the defending champs, the Seahawks. I mean, they're going to go 0-6. They start the season with the Chargers. I don't know how they're going to win any games. So I actually love the under for the Arizona Cardinals. I think they will win between 0 and 3 games this year. Now, I do like Mike LaFleur. I think that was a really inspired choice to be the head coach, and you could tell how much this means to him. Love that on NBC last night where you had Matt LaFleur, Mike LaFleur, mic'd up together. You know, Mike didn't know his brother was going to be there. That whole thing was absolutely terrific and tremendous, and I think Mike LaFleur is a terrific choice and inspired as a head coach. He's a great offensive mind, comes from that McVay tree. Just terrific. Now, Jacoby Brissett's going to be the starting quarterback, and he should. Brissett was really strong last year. I think eventually Carson Beck's going to be the guy because they're going to lose a lot of games, and they're going to need to figure out if Carson Beck can play and if he's going to be the starter for the foreseeable future. And also, when they start 0-2, 0-3, whatever it is, and you just got this nice Hall of Fame game sample size from Carson Beck, you're going to want to make that change. Now, I do think Trey McBride, you should draft him in fantasy. I love Trey McBride. Great guy, great dude, terrific player, one of the best offensive weapons in the sport. He's going to have a monster season once again. I think Jeremiah Love, I love that pick. 3rd overall pick of the draft. Not just a running back when you look at Jeremiah Love. He's a weapon. He's a star. He's a stud. He's most likely, we talked about it on Schein Time yesterday, odds, Vegas most likely to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year. The only question is going to be, will he get enough touches and carries, I should frame it that way, when they're constantly going to be trailing in game. I'm sure Brissett's going to look to check down to him. Marvin Harrison Jr. needs to produce. Let's be crystal clear. There's no question about it. I mean, this is year 3. You could color me stunned that he continues to have the yips. He can't catch a cold. Michael Wilson's been the number 1 guy. No excuse this year for Marvin Harrison Jr. Listen, I think the Arizona Cardinals are going to be dreadful. I feel bad saying it. I love that organization, but I will absolutely bet the under for wins for the Arizona Cardinals. But I want to stress, they're moving in the right direction. I'm a big fan of Mike LaFleur. I thought that was an inspired choice. I like Monty Austin Ford as the general manager, but I would bet the under here for the Cardinals when you look at it in the over-under for the win total for this upcoming season. The Rams are an absolute powerhouse. And listen, in terms of betting on the Rams, I mean, you're going to shop till you drop. You absolutely have to bet the over on wins. We've been through the schedule on numerous occasions. I mean, to me, the only question is, do you give them 12, 13, 14, 15 wins? I mean, they are absolutely unequivocally the best team on paper. And when you start talking about coach and you start talking about Sean McVay and, I love them to win the division, and you could talk about betting them to win the conference, and, they will be in consideration for me on the handful of teams, and they are absolutely the Vegas favorite when it comes to winning the Super Bowl. So Sean McVay's won before. I talk to him all the time. My SiriusXM radio show does a great job getting stars to play together. He's a terrific natural leader, gets cohesion on a team. Love Sean McVay. I would bet the over on the wins. I would bet him to win the division. I would bet him to win the conference. And listen, they've got the best odds, to win the division, to win the conference, and then the Vegas favorites to win the Super Bowl in L.A. I would absolutely bet on Matthew Stafford doing MVP Hall of Fame things once again. I know he's getting up there in age. I don't care. Matthew Stafford's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. No signs of slowing down. He's going to have another monster season. Throwing the ball to Puka Nacua. I know it was, not a great offseason for Puka. It sounds like, based upon the press conferences that Puka's given us during training camp, that Puka understands what he can do, what he can't do. And I would like to think that Puka Nacua has grown up a little bit, I hope, for L.A. Davante Adams is also a Hall of Famer, and Davante Adams as your number 2 as a touchdown machine. He's unbelievable. And I just love the tight ends that McVay has at his disposal, and that's going to add in terms of creativity. They're going to run the ball effectively with Kyron Williams. I think Blake Corum is solid. They have the ability to run with multiple backs. The offensive line is strong. Oh, by the way, Myles Garrett. It's kind of crazy, right? It's amazing when you stop and think about it. I still can't believe they traded for the guy who won the Defensive Player of the Year, the number 1 sack artist in the NFL. And we had Les Snead on Schein Time. He said, Myles Garrett's the ultimate starting pitcher and a closer. You jump out to a lead and then bam, you're going to have Myles Garrett sacking the passer. Think about all those times where they didn't have the lead in Cleveland. And at the end of the day, you look at it and Myles Garrett was still able to disrupt everyone. Myles Garrett this year is going to have, and he's already a first ballot Hall of Famer whenever he calls it a career, and he's not close to being done. He's got the best year of his career. I think for him and under Chris Shula and playing with the lead and playing in all these big-time, meaningful, primetime games and the juggernaut that is the NFC West, Myles Garrett's going to have the most dominant, impactful year that he's ever had in his life. By the way, they traded for Trent McDuffie, and that was the move of the offseason before Myles Garrett was the move of the offseason. See a problem, fix a problem. They couldn't stop the forward pass on Championship Sunday, struggled with the forward pass down the stretch of the season, so Les Snead was able to bring in different DBs, most especially right from the get-go to start the offseason, Trent McDuffie. And look, if Aaron Donald signs, that means Aaron Donald believes that he's ready to be Aaron Donald. And that means one of the all-time great players in the history of the National Football League on defense. So I can't stress enough in terms of previewing the NFC West how much I love the Rams. They're unequivocally going to be my pick to win the division. Again, we don't lock anything in because of injuries, trades, free agency, the whole thing, until right around Labor Day. but that's the mindset. The only question is how far will I ultimately pick them to go? But there's a reason why they are the favorite in Vegas when it comes to winning the NFC, winning the Super Bowl. That's the expectation. They've got the galaxy of stars. They're not slowing down. And listen, winning the LA Super Bowl is in the cards, and that would be the ultimate Hollywood ending for the LA Rams. The San Francisco 49ers are a conundrum. A real conundrum. And it's like Vegas wasn't quite sure here what to do with them, because the over-under basically says playoff team or not. Make the playoffs, it's only minus 146. They've got the third best odds to win the division. Now, I want to acknowledge here the upside if everything is copacetic and everyone's healthy and Kyle Shanahan's okay. You know, their upside is to go to the Super Bowl and win it. The problem is Kyle Shanahan, who was involved in that awful car accident, is still not coaching in training camp. So that is now a football story. And by the way, the first game of the season, it's the Rams and the Niners in Australia on that first Thursday of the NFL season. So this is a problem here. And listen, I don't want to make too big a deal about injury reports in July and August, but look, we know Ricky Pearsall is out for the year. He's on season-ending injury reserve. But you have Mike Evans, who's been great during training camp, but, you know, he's missed practice time, and George Kittle's missed practice time. And that's just under the umbrella of it's just not what you want. So I think Brock Purdy is a terrific quarterback. I don't think he gets the credit and respect that he deserves in the court of public opinion. But I think Shanahan is a big reason why he's been so strong. We ranked the running backs in the NFL the other day on Schein Time. We had Christian McCaffrey as the third best running back in the league, and he is as tough and as physical and as valuable as it gets. If you are a fan of the San Francisco 49ers, you understand the meaning. Mike Evans is an absolute stud. We'd call that a significant, a free agent signing as any in the NFL that will equal wins for San Francisco. George Kittle is back. That's a big deal. Trent Williams on the offensive line. The big deals on defense, Nick Bosa and Fred Warner are back. They're healthy. And these guys are, you know, stars, all-pro players. And getting them back and healthy is simply everything when you look at it for San Francisco. I don't know what I'm going to do with the Niners yet. I try not to overreact on bad vibes for a team, but then again, we've seen bad vibes equal bad play on numerous occasions with injuries and drama and contractual situations. And, you know, if you can get San Francisco to not make the playoffs a plus money, that might be your best bet. And I love the talent. I love the coach. I don't know if the coach is going to be there. So, I mean, at this stage, I acknowledge the upside. I think it's important to acknowledge the downside. I right now, in early August, wouldn't touch anything for the San Francisco 49ers. There's not a bet I would place on the Niners. I'm going to wait and see if everyone's healthy and if Kyle Shanahan could coach, because I acknowledge the upside here, but there's something off when you look at it for the San Francisco 49ers. Then you have the Seahawks. And, you know, I love Mike McDonald's, and I love Sam Darnold. I'm a Sam Darnold guy. It is interesting how Vegas is treating the champs, and I want to give Vegas credit. 10.5 feels right. Second best odds, not the best, at plus 205 to win the division. Sounds right. I don't think it's a hot take to say Seattle takes a step back. Look, they lost 3 key players on defense. Kenneth Walker signed in Kansas City. Now, I love Sam Darnold. I think Sam Darnold's unbelievable. I think Jackson Smith-Njigba is an absolute star. Sam Darnold has always had the talent. He's found it the last couple of years. Am I allowed to wonder aloud that Clint Kubiak's no longer there? Now, I think Sam is going to have another terrific season. I'm a huge fan of Sam Darnold's. I just, at this stage, when you look at it, I can't sit here and tell you that you're going to see in a year where everything went right for Seattle, a lock for them to do anything on this board. I think their upside is to go to the Super Bowl and repeat and win it. Rams will be my pick in the division. Seattle with Jackson Smith-Njigba is going to have another monster season. He's going to be absolutely, positively terrific again. Draft him in fantasy. In reality, he's one of the best receivers, top 4 in the NFL. Absolutely love him. JSN, Offensive Player of the Year. They should have spelt his name right on that trophy. The guy is absolutely incredible, and I'm obsessed with what he brings to the table. And that defense could be the best in the NFL. I think it's the best in the NFC. I have the Texans as the best in the NFL. And I think that Mike Macdonald, who's a brilliant defensive mind, will make sure that that defense is ready to rock and roll and ready to handle success and prosperity and understand that they're going to be the hunted, not going to sneak up on anyone. But I'll tell you, I am not picking Seattle, though, to win the division. I'm not picking Seattle to make the Super Bowl again. But I think that when you, and all these, even the over-under kind of makes me nervous. I lean on the over, and I'll probably pick the Seahawks to make the playoffs because I'm obsessed with Sam Darnold. I'm obsessed with Mike Macdonald. I love Gray Zabel on the offensive line, voted him for the Offensive Rookie of the Year, even as a guard. Jackson Smith-Njigba is special. I love John Schneider, their general manager. They were able to replenish at the running back position. I think that this team is so smart and buttoned up, and they have a great home field advantage, and that's a big deal when these other teams have to travel to the great Northwest. But seeing Seattle repeat for a championship, I would be floored if that happened in the great Northwest this season.